Welcome back to Your Chosen. My name is Kelvin, and today we're going through a little topic called New Month, New Challenges. We all know that as believers and followers of Christ, we're going to be going through many trials and tribulations. And as we all know, today is a new month, which equals we'll be facing new challenges, as we can say, in our Christian daily life. And I just want to remind everybody that even though we'll be getting new challenges and new trials, remember that when God said in His words, all these trials and tribulations are only here to test and to grow our faith. The more trials and tribulations you go through, the more you strengthen your faith and the more you become confident in who God is. And you know that God can bring you out of everything and every single situation that you might be facing through. See, all throughout the Bible, these stories of where people are going through hard times, hard challenges, and somehow they remain true to their faith. And at the end of the trial, at the end of this tribulation, they end up coming out twice as strong when it comes to their faith and their belief in who God and what God can do in our lives. We can mainly see this in the story of Job, where he lost everything, where he lost his family, he lost all he had, he lost all the money he had on his name, and yet still he did not lose the most important thing in his life, which it was Jesus. Even though he was going through a hard time, even though the enemy took everything Job has away from him, he still had everything he needed to live a happy and a glorious life, which it was having faith in God. And at the end of the day, we see that God never left Job by himself throughout all these hard times and throughout all these hard troubles he was going to. And we can see that at the end of the story of Job, we can see that God took everything that the enemy took away from him, and God restored everything Job had before he lost everything, and he gave him twice as much as what he lost. All because this was just a test and a trial that the enemy threw upon Job, and God blessed Job for he was able to come out successfully because he remained true to his faith. And even though he lost all the material stuff that we have in the world, he did not lose his faith in God, which is what we mostly need nowadays, because for some reason we are so in love with the things that the world has to offer us. We're so in love with the material things that the world gives us that we just sometimes forget that the most important thing that we need in our lives, in our everyday life, is not money, it's not a phone, it's not a job, it's not all the material things that we can get from the world. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that we need to live by is having faith in God and trusting God in every single thing that happened in our lives. So something that we can get from the story of Job in the Bible, and not just his story, but we got multiple stories in the Bible where we can see God's faithfulness throughout the whole story, where he makes sure that his sons and daughters are well taken care of, even though they're going through a hard time. At the end of the day, when they come out of that hard time, they'll be blessed twice. Why? Because all these trials and tribulations that we face are just challenges that are thrown at us so that our faith may be strong, so that our strength may not waver when harder and stronger times come at us. So what we can take out of the story of Job in the Bible is that we can actually see how God's faithfulness it is in our lives. He lost everything he had. He lost all the material things. He lost all the stuff that he had at his name. He lost his family, his loved ones. And yet God brought everything that he lost back to him, twice as much of what he lost, all because he understood the trial, he understood the tribulation. And instead of looking towards God and saying, God, why did I lose this? Why did you do this to me? I was faithful to you. I worship you. I gave money to the poor. Instead of looking towards God and judging God on why is this going on, he looked towards God and he was blessed and he was happy that even though he lost the stuff that he loved, most of the stuff was just material things. And he knows that true love comes from Jesus. So he, instead of looking towards God and being mad at him, he looked towards God and he was happy that God was with him even though he lost everything he had. And there's something that we gotta take for granted nowadays, because we get so attached to the stuff that the world has to offer us that we forget who Jesus Christ is. So as we enter a new month, I want to remind us as followers and believers in Christ that we will be facing new challenges and new trials. But I assure you that God, the same way he did not let Job go to waste, he will meet you in your troubles, he will meet you in the middle of your storm, and he will bring you out of it. So all I can say to you is, as you face new trials and new tribulations on this new month that we got upon us, I just encourage you to stay strong in your faith. Never lose faith in God. Look at the situation that you are going through and see, what is God trying to teach me with this? What can God bring out of this? Never look at God in the wrong way because you're going through a trial, but always look at the bright side of that trial. When God tests you and when God throws you in the pit in the middle of the lions, just like he did with David, just know that he took David's hand the whole time, and none of those lions even did a little bit of a scratch on David, because he remained true to his faith and he trusted God through the middle of that trial. So I just pray in the name of God that you guys will be able to remain true to your faith in whatever trials or tribulations you may be facing, and that the God may be able to strengthen your faith and show you the way that you should go, so that you may be able to go stronger in faith and look more like Jesus in your everyday life and less like the world. And I just pray that everybody will be able to have a month full of love, joy, peace, and happiness in the middle of these trials and tribulations. So without anything more to say, I'll see you guys on the next one.